A lot of people get concerned that they don't have enough money, and that's the number one complaint that we hear. But there's so many ways to structure a deal where if there is a grant program involved, or if there's not a grant program involved, maybe you don't qualify or you make too much money, but then you're worried that you don't have 20% down. There are so many different programs out there and structures to make things work. What's up, guys? It's Mike, Frank, and Eric.
Hey, hey, happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Happy Coronavirus Monday. Now that we're coronavirused out, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about first-time buying. Because everybody's talking about the coronavirus. We are doing our part. We're staying 6 feet away, believe it or not. We're keeping clean, lots of Purell, lots of hand sanitizer, but we got lots of things to do. I think we put in like 5 offers over the weekend. I know Eric got how many deals last week?
3 under contract last week.
It's insane.
Like nothing is slowing people down right now. I had a woman yesterday. She's like, yeah, I'm 60 and I got asthma, but the rates right now are 2.5%.
Yeah.
She's like, I got to. And I'm like, oh.
Speaking of which, this 0% Fed interest rate is awesome. However, comma but. It has nothing to do with mortgage interest rates. What we probably will see over the next couple weeks is a couple of sort of downturns in the interest rate, maybe getting down to like 3.25, where we were a couple weeks ago, but definitely not something going down to like 0% interest mortgage, which would be insane and nobody would make any money. So that's never going to happen. But also we had a couple of inspections, your inspections, from last weekend with Blue Crab, so shout out to them for working on coronavirus weekend. We had a lot of success and a lot of things are happening, so really excited about everything going on and obviously want to be preventative. I don't want to downplay what's going on in the world, but we do have a lot of work to do. First-time home buyer, step number 1.
See what you're working with. Get pre-approved.
Yeah.
Get in front of a lender. Nobody really wants to do it. I mean, it's kind of like that nitty-gritty that you're like, oh, is it going to be as good as I thought? Or how are things going to work? But it's just like you don't know until you know.
Right,
so,
and something else that some mortgage lenders will tell you is find out your purchasing power, right? Figure out what you're working with. In the end of the day, going out to buy a house without understanding your power of purchasing is kind of silly. Getting out there and looking for a house that might be $5,000 or $10,000 over your budget might be well within your means, or it might be the other way around. You might be well under your or over your means, and $10,000 is going to prevent you from getting that pre-approval.
There's nothing worse than taking someone to see a house and then having to break the bad news to them. Like, hey, that one you like, yeah, no, you can't do that.
It doesn't qualify, right. And speaking of that, so one of the things that we had happen last week, a buyer found their perfect home and they weren't approved because they didn't have enough money, right? Mm-hmm. So how much money does somebody need to buy a house?
You know, I would really talk to the lender. I would find out just what... And it all depends on what type of a loan program you're doing. Are you doing FHA or it needs 3.5%? Are you doing a 3% conventional, coupling that with Maryland Mortgage Program, which covers that 3% in a grant form? I mean, these are all things that you have to talk to a lender first when you get that pre-approval, because there's a million different avenues that you can take. But really, it's about finding the right one that's going to work specifically for you. So that way when you do decide to move forward and everything's in place, there's nothing holding you back.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get concerned that they don't have enough money. And that's the number one complaint that we hear. But there's so many ways to structure a deal where if there is a grant program involved, or if there's not a grant program involved, maybe you don't qualify or you make too much money, but then you're worried that you don't have 20% down. There are so many different programs out there and structures to make things work. So we've had people buy houses for as little as $1,200. We've had people buy houses for $120,000. It's really what makes sense for you, and that's where the structure of the offer comes in. Now, the next thing we have down here are benefits of first-time home buying. Benefits of home buying in general. Can you think of a couple?
I mean, first off, just being a homeowner, you've got some security now. You've got something kind of in your corner, so if things kind of take a turn for the worse in your life, or economic downturn, or you get laid off, you've got something you can fall back on.
The other thing with that is security, right? So you know that your mortgage isn't going to go up every month. It's not going to go up every year. You're not going to get that 5% hike on your rent that you've been getting for the last 12 years. You're going to have consistency in your mortgage. And the only thing that does really change is your taxes. But, we can't get away from taxes. But being locked into a really low interest rate, like 3.5 or 4.25, is going to be something that you can count on for the next 3 or 5 or 7 years while you weather through those sorts of storms.
Exactly.
Another one, a really good one, is mortgage interest deduction, right? Now, there's a lot of changes in the world and a lot of things happen every single year. So don't quote us, but you do gain a lot of opportunity for deductions on your income taxes when you buy a home. So if you have not owned a home before, buying a home is going to give you deductions on your income taxes that you're not qualifying for as a renter or as a tenant. So when you do spend that same monthly payment, you're actually going to get a little bit of a refund in taxes. And you have depreciation and value adds that you can take away from your tax liability as well. So just in and of itself, being a homeowner is going to add that value for you come tax season, right? Something else come tax season, because we're coming right around the corner. Now, granted, who knows what's going to happen with taxes, but when you get that tax refund and you spend it on a TV versus getting that tax refund and spending it on a new kitchen, right? The difference is going to be building equity and building value into something that you're appreciating, and that's tremendous. I mean, I feel like so many of my friends get a tax refund and they go on a vacation, but it's kind of silly because you could take that tax refund and invest it into yourself wisely, and then that vacation will come naturally because you're going to have more equity, right? Also, we have, you mentioned briefly, the Maryland Mortgage Program. They have that Smart Buy program. We've had a couple of clients to take advantage of it. It's a unique program, and that's why it's not the type of thing that everybody's going to be familiar with. But it's a unique program where if you have less than $40,000 in student loan debt, you can use the Smart Buy program to actually pay off your student loan debt in its entirety. So we've had a client that took advantage of the Smart Buy program, bought a $250,000 house, and paid off $27,000 and change of his student loan debt, completely gone 2 weeks after he settled. So he took advantage of the Maryland Mortgage Program by coupling that with a conventional loan with low down payment. Seller paid a closing cost assistance, and he was able to waive $27,000 of debt. I mean, just gone. And I think it was something like $400 a month that he was able to save every single month. His rent payment, his mortgage payment were the same, but he's saving that $400 a month in student loan debt. So definitely a good opportunity, especially for some of those people that are first-time home buyers that don't realize, oh, I have too much student loan debt. Well, this is a great way to categorize it and put it towards something that's going to be an equity play as compared to a debt every single month for the next 20 years, right? Let's see. Why would somebody avoid renting for another 12 months? I mean, especially in this market with everything going on right now with the coronavirus, a lot of people are thinking like, well, maybe I should just hold off. Why would we not want to hold off?
I mean, right now you've got interest rates at just an all-time historic low. It just makes too much sense right now to buy. Right. Like, I mean, you've got low interest rates. You've got programs that offer down payment assistance. You've got sellers looking to move. And right now, with everything going on, some people might not be, there might not be as many people out looking. Right. So that's something that kind of works in your favor too.
Yeah, I mean, gain the competitive edge.
I mean, we have situations where there's been like 8 offers on one house on day 1 of being on the market. Right. I mean, it just sounds like as things are kind of slowing down a bit in society, rates are still low, houses are still for sale, people still have to move. Yeah. Why do you think rates will be low a year from now? Right. And that's a good point. They'll be higher?
A good point. In a year from now, we would expect rates to grow as the economy kind of comes back from this sort of situation. Something to consider as you're avoiding that rental. If you're paying $1,500 a month, let's say in Lock Raven Village, right? Pretty reasonable rental in that community.
15 to 16 sounds about right.
Yeah. That kind of a monthly payment is going to equate to like a $250,000 house, give or take, right? Depending on the interest rate you get locked in at, you could go to $280,000. But I bet you that same house in Lock Raven Village for sale would only be like $199,000. Yeah. And so then you buy that house and you get to save your rental money maybe $200 a month.
Something like that, yeah.
Maybe. And then you're gaining an equity, gaining an asset, taking your $200 a month, and you're putting it in the bank. You're gaining your tax liability that's dropping. It's a no-brainer. So while everything is hitting the fan, you want to be able to take advantage of this opportunity and don't let a coronavirus stunt your growth over the next 12 months just because you're concerned about the stability of the economy. You're going to be able to immediately see results. And in the long run, statistically, as we talked about last week, real estate is the best play over the last 40 years. So statistically, in the long run, it's going to be a better decision to transition to an ownership level versus renting for the next 12 months just because of some concern of what's going to happen.
Yeah, then it's just like what happens with the landlord, what happens with if you're out of work or
that's a really good point.
Can't seem to work. Like what if you fall behind on something, you're still renting, like what happens then?
Right. If your landlord falls behind and they decide to sell your house, they're selling it out from under you. Yeah. And then that's something that you have to manage anyway. I think in the end of the day, the big value here is, don't let coronavirus stunt your growth in the next 12 months. By all means, take advantage. We have our Lysol wipes on demand. We have plenty of them, believe me. Take advantage, clean your health, take care of yourself, and we'll talk to you guys soon. There is nothing happening in Baltimore because everything is canceled. If you guys haven't tuned in yet, what is it? Everything's closed?
All bars, restaurants, gyms, all closing down by 5 p.m. today.
Yeah, so pretty much if you guys want to do anything that's not out in nature,
we're looking at like banks, gas stations, grocery stores on limited hours, and that's pretty much it.
Everything's closed for coronavirus. Take care of yourselves, take care of your household and your families, and if you need anything, give us a call. Talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for weekly content. Also, check out our social media pages. The links are in the description below. See you next week.